I had thought myself clever taking the northern pass. It was shorter, the map swore it, though no caravan dared it. They whispered of storms, of curses, of a giant who ruled the highlands. I laughed at such tales. With pistol at my side, I believed myself safe. The silence warned me first. The night had gone still, as if the land itself dreaded to breathe. I stood on a ridge when the forest below began to shift, not from wind, but from weight. Trees swayed. Trunks snapped. Something vast was forcing its way through. Then he emerged. The giant was no fable, but a nightmare clothed in flesh, bald skull gleaming, arms corded with muscle, veins bulging like ropes beneath the skin. In his fist hung a club, as long as a ship's mast, wrapped in rusted iron and embedded with broken blades. Blood stained the wood, dark patches that never dried. He swung it once against a tree, as if to stretch his arm, and the trunk shattered, flinging shards of bark like arrows. He looked up the ridge and saw me. His yellow eyes burned with fury. His brow knotted in a heavy frown. Then he roared, a sound like mountains splitting, and charged. I fled downhill, lantern bouncing wild. Behind me came not footsteps, but ruin, trees torn from the soil, earth splitting, boulders ground to rubble beneath his strides. His club struck the hillside, stones exploded around me, one shard slicing my cheek open to the bone. I staggered toward the husk of an old watchtower. Perhaps its walls could shelter me. I had barely reached the gate when the giant swung. The club met the tower in midair, and the stones erupted outward. Mortar, wood, and men's bones long buried showered the ground. A block the size of a coffin missed me by inches, smashing into powder. I ran coughing through dust. The giant's laughter rolled after me, giddy, monstrous. He was toying with me. Through the haze, I cut into a ravine, walls tight with boulders. I squeezed into a crack, chest scraping stone. For a heartbeat, silence. Then the world split. His club rammed into the gap, smashing rock to splinters. Sparks seared my skin. The crack widened, raining stone, nearly crushing me flat. His hand thrust inside, fingers thick as columns, skin torn and bleeding from stone edges. He clawed for me, nails ripping furrows in the earth. I slipped out the far side, scrambling on hands slick with blood that was not all mine. I reached a clearing just as the moon rose, silvering the grass. The giant followed, hauling his bulk from the ravine, blood dripping from his scraped arm. He lifted the club with both hands and swung low. The ground burst open behind me. Soil and roots blasted skyward. A tree beside me snapped in half. Its top half crashed yards away, trunk oozing sap like fresh gore. I sprinted toward ruins in the distance, the fortress of some dead kingdom. Its walls leaned broken, its arches half buried. I darted into its shadows. The giant struck the outer wall. Stones leapt free. He laughed again, club smashing corridors aside as he forced himself inside. I found stairs spiraling down. I plunged, stone dust raining on my shoulders as the giant tore halls apart above me. His voice followed, booming through the ruins. He growled, "Little man, your bones will sing." The stair ended in a vault, black as a tomb. I collapsed against the wall, trembling. For a moment, I dared hope. Then dust drifted from the ceiling. I heard the scrape, his club dragging across the stones, searching, listening. His laughter seeped down, muffled but close. Now I write, my shoulder throbbing where stone cut deep. I can taste iron in my mouth, my own blood. The fortress quivers each time he strikes above. He will smash stone by stone until I lie in the open. Giants do not tire, they savor. I saw it in his face. He will crush me slowly, savor my screams, paint these walls red with what I am. The ground splits. Now, he's found the stairs. I press myself into the corner, heart hammering, lungs burning. It's only a matter of time before he finds me. I had been warned not to follow the stream into the hills. The locals told tales of creatures that lurked where the water vanished into the limestone, but I thought them superstitious. I was a man of the 19th century, armed with a pistol, a steel lantern, and what I fancied to be reason. And yet here I sit, scribbling in the dark by trembling lantern light, while something scratches the rock just beyond the glow. It began at dusk. The stream cut a black seam into the earth, vanishing into a jagged mouth where the hillside collapsed inward. I was searching for veins of silver, alone, when I heard the first laugh, a low, rattling chuckle that echoed strangely in the gorge. Thinking it the trick of water, I entered, lantern held high. The cave swallowed me. The ceiling pressed low, dripping with moisture. The floor was slick, my boots sucking against the mud. I had gone no more than 20 paces when I heard it again. Laughter, too deliberate to be stone or stream. Then the scuttle of feet, quick and bare. I called out, voice shaking, "Who goes there?" My words ricocheted in a dozen directions, returning like a crowd mocking me. No answer, save for that same laugh, closer now. The passage forked. I chose the left, my lantern guttering as the oil burned low. Shadows clung to the walls, moving when I did not. I thought of turning back, but behind me came a sound of claws upon stone, scraping, eager. I pressed forward down a throat of rock that twisted upon itself. My lantern's glow revealed gouges in the limestone, hand-shaped, but with scratches streaking down above where the fingertips made a halt. I began to run. The lantern's flame flared with each breath of wind, threatening to die. I stumbled into a chamber wide as a cathedral nave, my light darting across rows of stones, stacked like crude altars. Upon them lay bones, cracked and gnawed. Some were animal, some were not. They were watching me. I felt it before I saw them, eyes reflecting dull red in the darkness, blinking in unison. Small bodies crouched low, too many to count. Their skin the color of the cave itself, mottled gray-green. Their teeth shone like wet needles when they grinned. One stepped forward. Its limbs were twisted, its spine arched. In its clawed hand, it clutched something I recognized too well, a miner's cap, torn and soaked with black stains. I fled. The chamber rang with their shrieks, high and jubilant, echoing like a chorus of lunatics. They followed, their feet slapping wet stone, always just beyond the ring of lantern light. The cave turned upon itself, endless passages all alike. I tried to mark the walls with my knife, but the marks bled away, as though the stone healed itself. My lungs burned, my lantern sputtered, and always that chorus of laughter closing in. Hours passed. I cannot know. Time rotted here. At one point I stumbled upon another chamber, smaller, its floor littered with rusted tools, picks, shovels, broken lanterns. Men had come here before me and never left. On the far wall, I found scratches, words carved by shaking hands. "They keep us for play." My knees weakened. I dared not rest. For the moment my lantern dimmed, they edged closer. I glimpsed them at the edges of sight, long arms stretching from the dark, nails dragging furrows in the mud, faces pressed to the boundary of light, smiling with hunger. I thought of extinguishing the flame, saving the oil, but each time the lantern hissed low, I heard their breath, wet, eager, circling nearer. One reached so close, I saw the filth caked beneath its nails, before the flame flared and it shrank back, hissing. I don't know if escape is possible. The passages twist, and I return to chambers I swore I had left behind. My pistol is empty, the bullets buried in shadows that screamed but did not die. The lantern sputters as I write this. Its flame quivers, thin as a dying heartbeat. When it goes out, so too will I. They wait for it, whispering in voices like broken flutes. If you're here reading this, it's already too late. The goblins are real. They will gnaw your bones and wear your voice as laughter. The light is failing. I hear them. Closer now. Closer. I always thought camping trips were supposed to be peaceful, a break from the grind of work and city life. Daniel had convinced me otherwise, dragging me to a patch of forest near the ridge, promising solitude, crisp air, and a weekend away from responsibilities. We brought Bramble, his scrappy mutt, who seemed to sense every mood, bounding ahead nose to the wind, alert to everything. The first night passed uneventfully. The fire crackled, shadows dancing across the canvas of our tent, the stars sharp in the clear sky. I drifted off feeling content, the forest whispering lullabies, the occasional hoot of an owl. The next morning, just as the horizon tinged pink with sunrise, I woke to a sound that made my blood run cold. It wasn't wind, and it wasn't Bramble barking. It was the low, purposeful rustle of someone rummaging through our supplies outside. Bramble was tense, letting out a low growl that vibrated through the tent floor. Daniel slept on oblivious until a flash of gray fur tore through the shadows and lunged at the food pack. Panic ripped through him, and then the creature turned, its eyes dark and glinting fixed on him. The wolf lunged. Daniel screamed and jerked upright, but the animal clamped down on his forearm with a wet crunch. Bramble barked and charged, but the wolf shook him off and bolted into the trees, leaving Daniel bleeding and pale. "God, it bit me," he shouted, pressing his hand against the wound. I grabbed his arm, ripping off my jacket to bind it as best I could. His skin had already bruised, punctured, and I could see the dark streaks of blood. Bramble circled us nervously, whimpering low. The day passed in a haze. We hobbled to the nearest ranger station, the wound throbbing and swelling grotesquely. Daniel refused treatment, insisting we stay, and I cursed his stubbornness with every step. The forest seemed alive, shadows stretching longer than they should, the wind whispering in tones that set my teeth on edge. That night, the full moon rose, casting silver light across the tent. I woke to a sound that froze me solid. Daniel was screaming, but the voice wasn't his. His bones were popping, reshaping, elongating with horrifying speed. I saw his fingers stretch into claws, his jaw protrude into a muzzle, fur erupting across his arms, chest, and back. "Daniel?" I whispered, voice shaking. His eyes were gold, pupils vertical, and hunting. His mouth curved into a feral snarl, a sound that carried rage, confusion, and something animalistic. "I can't stop it," he gurgled, voice breaking through snarls. Bramble whimpered, pressed against my legs, sensing the danger I couldn't stop. I grabbed a stick, brandishing it uselessly, but the moment I stepped toward him, he lunged past me, crashing through our tent and into the trees. I ran. My legs tore against roots and rocks. Behind me, I could hear Daniel tearing through the underbrush, the forest itself quaking with his passage. His club of claws smashed anything in his path. Branches splintered, small trees toppled, even a fallen log burst under his weight. Bramble yelped, caught between us, darting away only to be herded by Daniel's new strength. I didn't stop. I couldn't. Bramble's whimpering pierced my heart, but every instinct screamed to survive. Daniel was unrecognizable, a creature of muscle and fur, the boy I knew buried somewhere beneath that predatory gleam. The chase continued through the night, the silver light of the full moon painting the forest in stark contrast. Daniel's howls and snarls echoed, mingling with the yelps of bramble and the shattering of branches. I stumbled over a root, slid down a small slope, and barely managed to stay upright. I had no idea how far I ran, only that the scent of fear and blood carried me forward. By mid-morning, I stumbled through the forest, every muscle screaming, my clothes torn and streaked with mud and blood. Ahead, through the trees, I thought I saw him. Daniel, or what was left of him, collapsed against a fallen log, chest heaving, fur matted with dew and blood. He looked almost human in the pale daylight, but I knew better. I froze, hoping against hope that he was just injured, that the nightmare of last night could end here. Bramble whined, as if to remind me what was real. Daniel's golden eyes flickered open briefly, and I saw the wildness, the hunger lurking beneath. He tried to sit up, but his limbs shook violently, claws digging into the earth. I knew that by nightfall, he would not be the friend I knew. I wanted to stay, I wanted to help, but I couldn't. Not now, not ever. I tore myself away, dragging Bramble behind me, and forced myself to run, leaving him collapsed in the forest, the sunlight mocking the shadow of what would come when the moon rose again. I never went camping again, but sometimes, when the wind shifts and Bramble stiffens, I hear it, a howl carried on the air, golden eyes glinting in the darkness, and I know the chase is far from over.